میشه که جامعه اسلامی معمولا در ماه مبارک رمضان میکنه. و همچنین کمک های افغانستان، هر شب دوستای ما یادآور میشن. جناب استاد حمیدی هم دیشب به تفصیل صحبت کردن. دیگه برای ما و شما دیگه جای سوال باقی نیست که ضرورتمندها و محتاجان در افغانستان تعدادشان بسیار زیاده و چشم امیدشان به ما مردم خارج نشین است، مردمی که بالاخره امکانات رفاهی خوبی داریم، بالاخره شکم کسی اینجا گشنه نمیمانه، اما اونجا ممکن است کسی یا خانواده یا فرزندان کودکانی به یک نان خشک هم محتاج باشند. لذا هر نوع کمک و اعانه‌ای که شما میتونین به اصطلاح از کمترین مبلغ تا او واجب‌های شرعی مثل فطریه روزه و کفاره یا فدیه روزه که مبلغ $4 برای روزانه می باشه و فطریه روزه هم $12 امسال تعیین شده که انشاءالله در نماز عید هم جمع‌آوری میشه و امیدواریم که با کمک شما عزیزا بتوانیم یک مبلغ خوبی را امسال جمع‌آوری کنیم و به شهرهای مختلف در افغانستان بعد از عید انشاءالله بفرستیم که کلاً این پولای جمع‌آوری شده مواد غذایی و ارتزاقی برای خانواده های مستحق تهیه میشه، اهدا میشه و اونجا هم ما از کمک سازمان های خیریه معتبر و مورد اعتماد که ما در طول سالهای گذشته رایشان کار کردیم ما بهره میگیریم. اونا شناسایی میکنن افراد مستحق و گزارش هایش هم برای ما گزارش های تصویری و ویدیویی هم میفرستن که هیچ گونه جای شک و شبهه در مصرف با موقع و با جای این پول هایی که جمع آوری میشه باقی نمیگذاره. انشالله که شما عزیزان در هر دو طرح همیاری ماه مبارک رمضان و افطاریه ها سهم بگیرین و همچنین مسئله عضویت ها را هم در نظر داشته باشین. شادی روح همه رفتگان، مخصوصا رفتگان خودتان. صلوات بلند ختم بفرمایید.
اعوذ بالله من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم و به نستعین. با عرض سلام و عرض ادب به قسمت دوم برنامه امشب خویش آغاز میکنیم. تشریف آوری شما سروران را به جامعه اسلامی افغانهای کانادا باز هم از صمیم قلب خوش آمدید و خیر مقدم عرض نموده از خداوند منان آرزوی موفقیت و طول عمر برای تک تک شما عزیزان داریم. اولتر از همه شهادت جانگداز امیر مؤمنان مولای متقیان حضرت علی علیه السلام را خدمت شما عزیزان تسلیت عرض می دارم. امیر مؤمنان و مولای متقیان علی علیه السلام امام اول شیعیان نه تنها برای شیعیان که برای تمامی آدمیان الگو و اسوه انسانیت می باشد. درخشش دو صفت مهربانی به انتها و شجاعت مثال زدنی او در رفتار و گفتارش و شخصیت بی‌نظیرش که در همه ابعاد انسانی و اخلاقی آمده است. عرفا و شاعران بسیار را واداشته که در وصف وی شعر بسرایند و برای شهادتش مرثیه بخوانند. یا رب، یا رب دل مرده مرا احیا کن، بر روی گدای نیمه شب دروا کن. سوگند به قدر قطره خون علی، سوگند به قدر قطره خون علی، پرونده اعمال مرا امضا کن. اجماعاً صلوات بلند خط فرمایید. خواهران و برادران بسیار عزیز و گرامی، در این قسمت از برنامه امشب از خواهر عزیز و گرامیم خواهر فرشته هزاره از بخش جوانان اسلامی افغانهای کانادا صمیمانه خواهش میکنیم تشریف آورده سخنران انگلیسی امشب برادر عزیز و گرامیم جناب سید حسن الشیرا را خدمت شما به معرفی بگیرند. باز هم بر محمد و اهل بیت محمد صلوات دیگر را بلندتر خواهد فرمایید.
Assalamu alaikum, respected elders, scholars, brothers, and sisters. On behalf of ACE, I would like to welcome you to the 8th night of our Ramadan 2025 program. Before we get to tonight's lecture, we have a couple of announcements. Firstly, the tafsir test will be on Monday, March 24th at 7 p.m. in the ACE room. Be sure to join us, as there are great prizes to be won. If you haven't been able to make it to our in-person classes, there is a link to the recordings posted on our Instagram. Secondly, our annual Wake-a-thon will take place tonight at 11:45 p.m. We will be joined by our respected guest speaker, Sayyid Muhammad Hassan Al Sheraa, along with Sayyid Jafar Kazwini, Mullah Farid Najafi, and Brother Ghalib Nadim. Registration is free, and everyone who registers will be automatically entered into a raffle. You can sign up at tinyurl.com/wakeathon2025. Lastly, our annual Arts and Games Night will take place on Friday, March 28th. For more details on our upcoming programs, please check out our Instagram page at ACE Online. It is now my honor to introduce our esteemed guest speaker, Sayyid Muhammad Hassan Al Sheraa. Sayyid is a scholar, international lecturer, and a dedicated Hawza student. Please welcome him to the minbar with a loud salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبا القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أرواحنا لتراب مقدمه الفداء أما بعد يقول الله في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم من كان عدوا لله وملائكته ورسله وجبريل وميكال فإن الله عدو للكافرين آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. Illuminate your hearts and fragrant this gathering with a very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. My respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone finds comfort in the memory and being reminded of angels. The malaika of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are forces of goodness, of khair, of barakah, of blessings. And oftentimes in periods of stress, one finds comfort remembering that at least there is a force of good, creations of khair. There are those opposing forces to the shayateen that exist. That if Allah has allowed a shaitan to exist, then He allows a malik as well to be the counterpart, to create that balance in this life, to match the equilibrium of all the shar in the shayateen, then the khair in the malaika of Allah al-muqarrabeen. Now, of course, in our worldview, this is something not exclusive to Islam or Muslims. You find in the teachings of Christianity, angels are a significant element. You find as well in the teachings of Judaism. In fact, almost all world religions today have a creation that its sole purpose is that it is a force for good. That's all. It may not be the most significant force out there. It's not that it's a prophet. But at the end of the day, at least there's a comfort knowing that Allah has made an infinitesimal amount of these malaika that serve a purpose, that have a meaning, that do something, and that at the end of the day, as much as we feel there's a lot of wrong, hate, evil being generated by the shayateen, by jinn, which are, one can argue, in the middle of these two. They're not necessarily bad, and they may not necessarily be all good. They are like you and I. It's good to know that angels exist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like everything, He created a system as well. And among the angelic system, God has designed a hierarchy among these angels. They have ranks. Many of these angels serve a purpose, and among the purposes that they serve is that they do get involved in our lives. Other angels, they serve the purpose of, I am here in heaven, and my job is just to be the caretaker of heaven. The Zabbaneen of Jahannam are the ones of the Malaika that discipline the kuffar and the oppressors. These are in the Holy Quran. Allah gives them that title. Then there are Malaika that are considered among the greatest of those that have the most meaningful purposes. These are the ones that are dispatched to the messengers of God. And even they are divided into many levels. One day, Rasulullah, upon entering sallallahu alaihi wasallam the city of Medina al-Munawwara, after migrating, he met up with the leaders of the city. He saw the Arab who are the leaders, Sa'ad bin Abi Ibadah, Sa'ad bin Ma'adh. These are the major tribes, Al-Aws and Al-Khazraj. These were Arab, so he met with them. After he met with the Arab leaders, he also made an effort, let me meet with the Christian and the Jewish leaders as well. Medina al-Munawwara is a very unique city. And there's a reason why Allah told Rasulullah to choose Medina to be his new relocation. It serves as a small micro sample of the macro example of the world. Because in it you have Muslim, non-Muslim, you have Mushrik, you have Christian, you have Jew. And in the world today, you won't always find Muslims. You'll find disbelievers. But you won't only always find disbelievers, you'll find believers, but not necessarily on the path of the final message. So Medina al-Munawwara gave you an example, and it showed the early Muslims, and it shows us when we read about this in the Holy Quran, that this can affect my life because it's a small sample of the major metropolis that is the world. He made an effort, let me also see the Jews. The Jewish tribe in Medina, one observation that has to be noted, why on earth are there random Jews living in the Arabian Peninsula? What brought you there? Did you not see that the promised land with Musa was that you were to go to Palestine and reside there? Why would you take a right turn and enter the desert and leave the oasis that is the Nile in Egypt, the Sinai Peninsula? Your last and final, for example, Messiah has to construct the second temple after it was destroyed. He has to reconstruct it. So why are you leaving Palestine in the Dome of the Rock region? It's only because of one. They genuinely believed in their ancient scripture that there will be a new prophet that will emerge. They had the original writings that showcased after the Torah was fabricated that there will be a final messenger who will come from the mountain range of Paran, Faran. Paran is a mountain range in the Arabian Peninsula, and so they said, we want to be there before he is. And so the very essence, the very presence of Jews in Medina al-Munawwara is a sign that they knew someone was coming. We just don't know who, and we don't know when, but we do know where. And so it has to be, we need to all move here. It's not easy to leave. It's not easy to leave somewhere that's an oasis for the desert. And even Allah calls that region Wadin Ghayri Dhi Zar'. It's a land and a valley that doesn't have any zara' or zara'a. It's not lush. So why would you do that? Unless you genuinely believed in a final messenger coming. And yes, in our academic readings, when you read and analyze the Torah, and you read and analyze many of the scripture, you see references and subtle references of a coming of a prophet who is called like the brother of Moses, who will call people to the way. He will be a mercy to the world. So there's a lot of commonalities. And Imam al-Rida alayhi salam references this citation when he debates Jewish priests in his international debates with the religious leaders in Mashhad, Khurasan, because he was placed and he had to debate not internationally. So Al-Ma'mun brought scholars from different parts of the world to have a debate with Imam al-Rida. Imam al-Rida debated the Hindu and the Christian. When he gets to the Jews and the Christians, he uses this ayah, this verse of the Torah. He says, God in the Old Testament says, وَتَجَلَّى رَبُّكَ عَلَى جَبَلِ سَعِيرٍ. This is a verse, you can actually find it in the Old Testament. And your Lord has shown his manifestation on the Mount Seir. Imam al-Rida says to the Jewish rabbi, who is this person Allah showed his manifestation to? He says, this is probably metaphorical, we're not too sure. Imam al-Rida said that was Jesus. Mount Seir is the Sermon of the Mount that Jesus stood on and gave the preach in Palestine. That's called Mount Seir. He's like, and you rejected Isa, but in your own Old Testament material, it's referencing him. But that doesn't end there. وَتَجَلَّى رَبُّكَ عَلَى جَبَلِ سِينَاء. And your Lord shown his manifestation on the Mount of Sinai. Who was this individual? He's like, that's obviously Moses. He's like, yes, but there's one more. وَتَجَلَّى رَبُّكَ عَلَى جَبَلِ فَارَان. And your Lord showed his manifestation on Mount Paran. Who is that? He said, that I can't even answer. He said, that is a mountain range in the Arabian Peninsula. Look it up today, Mount Paran in the Arabian Peninsula. And there's only one man who on that mountain, particularly Jabal al-Nur, in the cave and Mount of Hira, who it was the case that Allah showed his glory to, my grandfather Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. This is all being referenced and presented just to showcase that the very presence of the Jewish community in Medina proved that they were waiting for one more messenger. Rasulullah says, I need to meet with them. I'm here. Yalla, you were waiting for me. I'm here. Let's talk. Embrace my way. Ready? Steady? Let's go. So he meets with Banu Qaynuqa', Banu Nadir, Banu Qurayza. And then he met with a group of Jews called the Fadaki Jews. You would be familiar with the incident of Fadak. This would be a land that is north of Medina. This group of Fadaki Jews, they had an observation. They said, we will accept. The only issue is some of the earlier tribes of Banu Nadir, Qurayza, Qaynuqa' in Medina proper, they rejected the Prophet because he was not from Bani Israel. We were duped. We supposed that the next prophet, the last and final one, would be from Bani Israel, would be Yahudi al-Asl. You're not. You're from the family of Ishmael, Ismail, because Rasulullah is from Ismail. We are from the family of Ishaq, because as you know, Bani Israel, Israel meaning Yaqub. That's another name. That's why Surah Bani Israel is also considered Surah Al-Baqarah as well. Yaqub, that's his name. His son, Ishaq, and his other son, he is the son of Ishaq. His grandfather, Ibrahim. And Yaqub, from his lineage, the Isaac lineage is Bani Israel from Dawood and Sulaiman and Isa. But from Ismail, his sons downwards is the Arab. And they're like, oh, you're our cousin. But we can't. We needed someone from Bani Israel. The Fadaki Jew says, we were willing to accept that. We don't care. At the end of the day, we share Ibrahim as our grandfather. So you're still family. Cousins are still family. Here's the only issue. We want to know, which angel is your angel? They have a question about the angel. We'll accept you. Granted, you give us the exact angel that is the one dispatched to you. Why are they asking about the angel? Because they want to know whether or not it's the angel that kept punishing Bani Israel for centuries in the Old Testament or not. Rasulullah said, the angel that's mine, that's dispatched to me, that is my personal angel, that is the messenger angel for me, is none other than Al-Malak Jibra'il alayhi salam. When the Fadiki Jews heard this, the leader and head rabbi by the name of Abdullah ibn Surya said, Ya Rasulullah, let me just ask, which angel? Jibra'il. He says, that's a sad case. It's like, why? It's because Jibra'il is the angel that's known for Allah sending to punish us. Whenever we need to get punished, it's always Gabriel that does it. Gabriel is seen as the angel that punishes, that delivers divine chastisement. Gabriel, in the story of Nabiullah Lut and Sodom and Gomorrah, which is a story in the Old Testament, by the way, as well, he is the one that destroyed the whole city. He destroyed it. And how did he destroy it? He destroyed it with one of his feathers from one of his wings. One feather from one wing was the size of the whole town, and he flipped the whole thing over. According to another narration, Jibra'il caused that there are essentially like comets and meteorites that descended upon Qawm Lut, but it was through the act of Jibreel. So Jibra'il is seen as this destructive angel. And so Abdullah ibn Surya, the head chief rabbi of the Fadiki Jews, says, we were waiting for you. However, we can't accept you. Says, why? He says, had it been any other angel, we would have accepted, especially if it was the angel Mika'il. Says, why Mika'il particularly? He says, because the angel Michael, you've heard of Mika'il, you've heard of Michael the angel. What do you know about him? So many Muslims, we know Mika'il is an angel. Do you know Mika'il is actually mentioned by name in the Holy Quran? If Allah finds it necessary to remember him by name in the Holy Quran, we ought to understand the significance of this angel and what he has and impacts our lives. But sadly, many Muslims won't tell you anything they know. It's like, I don't know. It's just an angel. What does he do? What's his significance? Why, for example, the Jews of Arabia specifically said, if it was him, we would have accepted. Because the angel Mika'il is the angel of wealth, of sustenance, of growth, of harvest, of planting, and of nourishment. Mika'il is associated with these qualities. In fact, you look at the names of these two malaika. The names are as such. Jibra'il matches their concern. Why? Because Jibra'il means, if you break it down, Jibra or Jabbar or Jabbar or Jabarut. And what do these terms have in common? Jabbar, force. Jabbar, the forceful. Al-Jabarut, akin to the same meaning, powerful. Il, the suffix il, the very end. Il is always a derivative of Allah. Il in the ancient Syriac and Hebrew means Elohim. Elohim is one of the names of Allah. So the strength of Allah. That's what the name Jibra'il in its Hebrew origin means. In Islam, it got rid of that. He's not Jibra'il because it's a Hebrew origin. When the Quran came, he was then called Jibreel. Jibreel as such. So 2 syllables, not the 3. Jibra'il. Mika'il, same thing. Mika'il, in his own name, his name etymologically implies that there's sustenance to it. I'll tell you. How do you say when you see something beautiful? And when you see something incredible, and when you see something that shows you a lot of happiness and joy, what you normally say is Subhanallah, Subhanallah, and you say MashaAllah. These are words to express your surprised happiness. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It's okay. When you see something incredible, don't you say, MashaAllah? The terms MashaAllah mean what? Ma, sha. You know how insha'Allah, ma yasha. It's whatever Allah desires. Wow. This is what Allah desires. It's a term of expressing surprise, but it's pleasant astonishment. I think you can say, MashaAllah, you could call it pleasant astonishment. Subhanallah is utilized when you want to express just straight up astonishment. Subhanallah, I didn't expect as such. I was surprised. Mika'il, his name, Man Kallah. Me, in the original Hebrew, means who is there? Men. Because the languages of Hebrew and Arabic and Syriac and Aramaic are what? Semitic. Semitic languages mean that they are very much related. So me means men. Men. Who is there? Who is it? What? Who? Man kel mika. Kel means kaf. Man kalla. La is Allah. Who is there like Allah? His name itself is a reflection of Subhanallah. This is to express the astonishment a person has in regards to the sustenance and rizq. Mika'il is seen as the angel of rizq and sustenance. The Fadaki Jew said, if it was any other angel, then we would have accepted you, especially if it was the angel Mika'il alayhi salam. Allah did not like that. Allah felt very offended. These are my angels. These malaika, you can't hate this one and love this one. So Allah revealed the only ayah in the Quran that has the name Mika'il verbatim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Man kana aduwan lillahi wa malaikatihi wa rusulah. Whoever is an enemy or was or is an enemy to Allah and then His angels and His messengers. But then Allah, wait for it, specifies two angels, but these ones particularly. Wa Jibra'il wa Mika'il fa inna Allaha aduwwun lil kafirin. And especially these two. Some might say, Ya Allah, you already said the malaika, why do you have to specify these two? At the same time, Allah wants to give an emphasis. I'll give you another one. You know the famous surah we have to recite tomorrow is likely, by the way, Laylat al-Qadr, al-Kubra. It is the apparent, most likely Layla, called Laylat al-Juhani. Juhani was a man who lived outside of Medina very far. And he came to the Prophet during Shahr Ramadan at the beginning. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I know there are a'mal and ahya and things to do during Laylat al-Qadr. I know. I just don't know. I can't come every single day. So could you tell me which night is the best one I should at least not miss? The Rasulullah whispered into his ear. The man left. The Sahaba saw this. They said, whichever night a Juhani comes back, it's Laylat al-Qadr. Because he wouldn't tell him to come for a night that's not Laylatun khayrun min alfi shahr, right? Don't miss the best one. And they said, on the 23rd of the holy month of Ramadan, in the distance, a Juhani came. That's tomorrow. The famous surah that you recite on that day, which is it? Surah Al-Qadr. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. We have revealed it being the Quran. Fi laylatil qadr. وما أدراك ما ليلته القدر ليلته القدر خير من ألف شهر here we go تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها. Pause. Ulama have given opinions. Al-Shaykh Al-Tusi, Al-Shaykh Al-Kulaini have different opinions. Tusi, Kulaini. These are one of our biggest ulama that have ever existed. They give two different opinions. Kulaini authored Al-Kafi. Tusi authored Tahdhib Al-Ahkam and Al-Istibsar. These are among the most reputable works in the school of Ahlul Bayt in the scholarly world. Al-Shaykh Al-Kulaini in Al-Kafi, one of our most trusted works, has a hadith that says that the ruh that's being referred to here is not an angel. What is it? The reason being is Allah had already said the angels. Khalas. Tanazzalul malaika. If Allah wanted to mean that the ruh is an angel, He already included all of the angels. So why do the redundancy and mention and this angel as well called Ar-Ruh? وَالرُّوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ سَلَامٌ هِيَ حَتَّى مَطْلَعِ الْفَجْرِ. Shaykh al-Tusi has a different opinion. Tusi comes, but this is by the beauty of scholarship. That's the love and taste of ulama when it comes to their own conclusions. And that's why ijtihad is beautiful. Scholarship, research, analyzation. It's the most beautiful thing ever, where you can both receive the same information but with different conclusions. That's perfectly fine. It's acceptable. Shaykh al-Tusi in his At-Tibyan fi Tafsir al-Quran says, wait a minute. No, I'll give you a different tafsir. This Ruh is Jibra'il. It's like, why? Because you've already mentioned the angels. Why would you mention Jibreel? And first of all, then why did you call him a Ruh? Why? Tomorrow, all the angels will come. Sure. Jibreel, too? I mean, you already said the angels. That's a given. La. Number one, Jibra'il, Shaykh al-Tusi says, is not a normal angel. Habibi, this is the specific angel of Rasulullah. You know how amazing that is? Isn't it comforting to know that, wait a minute, tomorrow night, tomorrow specifically, all the angels are going to come down, but the angel that saw with his own eyes Rasulullah on a daily basis is also coming down. That's a big one. The angel that shared the position of Kisa with Ahl al-Kisa. That one is going to come down too. That's a big deal. And then he gives you an example. And this example shows you how incredible our ulama are. Wallahi al-azim. He says, imagine if one day we announced that the whole government is coming to town. It's a big deal. The whole government. Minister X, Minister Y, the defense, they're all coming. Okay, whatever. But guess what? The president is also coming as well. Well, you already said the government, but the president is coming as well. That adds more significance. Now, I don't know about today's presidents. I don't care about that one. But just in general, when you say, for example, the whole country leaders are coming, oh, nice. Yani the mayor and the president. Jibra'il is Sayyidul Malaika. So Allah has to single him out. And then he references this ayah. And of course, Allah in another ayah has already singled out Jibra'il and even Mika'il when he referenced all of the Malaika. Man kana aduwan lillahi wa malaikatihi wa rusulah wa Jibril wa Mika'ila. He's already said all the Malaika, and then he specified, but specifically Jibreel and Mika'il. All he could have done is just did what? All he could have just said Malaika, and that includes Jibreel. But I want to emphasize, in the other ayah of the Holy, Jibreel is mentioned twice in the Holy Quran by name, by Jibreel. Another ayah is Surah Al-Tahrim, when Allah rebukes the two wives of the Holy Prophet. He says to them, if you decide to conspire, تَظَاهَرَ عَلَيْهِ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ مَوْلَى وَجِبْرِيلٌ وَصَالِحِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ as well. That if you decide to conspire against the Prophet, against him, you too, wives of the Prophet, being condemned and rebuked right now, then remember, God is his guardian and protector, and Jibra'il as well. And the one salih, not the salihin, وَصَالِحِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, the pure one from the mu'mineen. Who is that referring to? Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Then he says, وَالْمَلَائِكَ as well. So you already said Jibra'il, so why say Malaika again? Listen, brother, Habibi, Jibra'il is not just like any other angel. Do you know, I'll tell you something interesting. Brothers over here, I'd like your undivided attention. Jibra'il is the only one after Imam Ali that got the title Akhi and Habibi Jibreel. Rasulullah would see him, he says, Akhi Jibreel, where have you been? We've missed you. Today you delayed in coming down for us. And he'd also, Habibi Jibreel, my love Jibra'il, I've missed you. And Jibra'il would say, I've missed you too. Akhi wa Habibi Rasulullah. Look at the love relationship between this angel of Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. The only other man that got that honor is Akhi wa Habibi Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. That's why Jibra'il has to be singled out. He's not like any other angel. Well, guess what? Tomorrow, the same entity that got the same titles as Imam Ali is coming down, inshallah ta'ala. It will be observant and witnessing of our affairs, our a'mal. And Jibra'il, according to Al-Kafi, in the Ar-Rawda, the last volume of Al-Kafi, Rasulullah asks him, Ya Jibreel, how old are you? So this hadith is interesting, so I'd like to reference it particularly. Would you imagine ever asking the angel Jibra'il, how old are you? So Jibra'il says, Ya Rasulullah, this hadith is found in Al-Kafi. I count my age based on a star. There's a star out there. However many times I see it, I count my age. I only see it, it emerges once every 60,000 years. Once every 60,000 years, I see it. Okay. Every time I see it, I add 1 to my age. So Rasulullah, guess what he has to ask him? And how many times have you seen that star? He says, I've seen it 300,000 times. So what's the math on that one? Who can probably do the math and let me know? Huh? So when you do the math on the calculator, if the number is so big, you know what you have to do? You have to turn it like this. 18 billion? Man, you're pretty old. So he says, I see it over 300,000 times. He's like, wow, okay, you're pretty old. But that shows me and you that look how casual Rasulullah is with Jibra'il. Where he could just ask him, hey, how old are you? And just ask him these questions. That's how close and deeply together and connected they were. And that angel is not like any other angel. Allah has made angels, their only purpose is just to do sujood. That's it. It's just to do tasbih forever. That's it. And they do it obediently, no issues. Because they're malaika. They can be programmed as such. Jibra'il had this honor. Brothers and sisters, in the remaining time, we need to make it clear how we can have these malaika surrounding us, especially brothers over here. How they can surround us, because sometimes there are things we can do that make the malaika leave us. At the end of the day, you're Muslim. If you're Muslim, you believe in this. Then if you believe in this, do you care enough to see what's its importance in my life? You're a Muslim. You either accept it all or you cherry pick, which doesn't reflect well. In our case, we have ahadith that tell us that the malaika surround the house of a mu'min. Only if, ready, if they have the dhikr of Allah playing always. It's good habit to have the Quran playing at all times. It's good habit to have the ad'iyat playing. This, according to the hadith, attracts these malaika. Number 2, to avoid, this is a narration, being in the state of janaba prolonged. If you are in the state of ritual, spiritual impurity, and you can take care of it, take care of it. Otherwise, if you're in that state, that narration says, malaika feel embarrassed to come near. Just a little bit embarrassed. Not right now. I am not interested. And so they keep a distance. Taban, what's the benefit of having angels stay near you anyways? Well, I can't even see them. La. Like how the shayateen can do waswas, and there are forces of negativity. The malaika can inspire you to do good things. The malaika get rid of, according to a hadith, negative thoughts and negative dreams. These are the malaika, the angels of Allah. Another thing that attracts them is if you have wudu on constantly, beautifully. Another thing that attracts them, and this one is not, I'm not making this one up. This is not me being paid by your mother. Please say this as well, as if your house is clean. It's like, oh, guess what? If you clean your room, angels will come. And so, clean your room then. I wasn't paid. Maybe not a lot, but still, I wasn't paid that much. The hadith mentions that an-nadhafatu min al-iman. Cleanliness is from faith. Wal-qadharatu min al-shaytan. And filthiness is of shaytan. The more clean my environment is, the more the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make their way. Even the angels don't want to enter that room sometimes. Ya ajib wallah. It's like you are not interested in going back to your room because you're like, it's too dirty. What you think the angel's gonna be like, I'm fine? Clean this space, clean the environment. Another hadith, this is found in both Sunni and Shia works. If there's a dog in the house, there's nothing wrong with dogs. They're animals of Allah, they're creations. The dog that's mentioned in the Quran is praised, by the way. وَكَلْبُهُمْ بَاسِطٌ ذَرَاعَيْهِ بِالْوَصِيدِ. That their dog stood guarding the front entrance of the Ashab al-Kahf entrance. So it's a praiseworthy dog, yeah? But at the end of the day, there are rules of najasa and tahara. And najis doesn't mean haram. It just means impure. It means if it's on you, you can't pray with it. Remove that thing. Or means you can't eat it. That's what najis means. Spiritually, it has an impact as well. But it doesn't mean just because, look, this might have some najasa, that doesn't mean that's a sin. It just means, it's not pure, it's not cleaned. Spiritually speaking, that if there's an animal like the dog, it does steer away the angels, the kilab. Now, someone can have a dog. It's not haram to own one. However, for necessary purposes is what's advised by the ulama. If it's a seeing eye dog, that's completely fine. No issues with that one. Don't feel that because you're restricted, because of the vision's not good, and you need this dog, I'm not going to get any angels. Habibi, brothers, I would like your attention, please. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Habibi, with the white. With me. You don't own any dogs? Huh? Okay, good. In this case, if you own one for necessary purposes, like a security dog, like a dog that protects, I don't know if you need a hunting dog. We have fiqh about that one in the ahadith as well. You can. So I just want to own the dog. I want a chihuahua. A chihuahua is not going to protect me. I want that little poodle. It just looks cute. Can I own it? Okay, you have to make a trade. I'll take a chihuahua or a poodle, and you can keep like 5 angels. That's up to you. Again, there's nothing haram being done. It's not haram. It's not a sin. It's just, here are some of the things. And if it's wet and contaminated, then that's najasa. It's a bit inconvenient. However, everyone's life, case by case, is different. Maybe there's a purpose. Allahu a'lam, you have to see your own case. Got it? In that situation, one of these things is the dogs as well. Another one, and this one is probably the most common, aside from the dirty room example. Music. Haram music blocks the dua from being answered. And who takes your hajat to the heavens besides the malaika anyways? Allahumma ighfir li al-dhunub allati tahbisu ad-du'a. Forgive me of the sins that restrain back my dua. Because who takes the ajr to the samawat besides the malaika themselves? He's not interested in coming there because Mr. Kanye West is singing. He's not interested. I'm not entering a room where there's so much haram profanity, where there's so much haram lyrics. I'm not entering that. Hence, it's not even about the lyrics. It's the song itself is vile. I wonder why my hajat are not being answered. Because the mailman who delivers it to the big one, Jalla Jalaluhu, is like, I'm going to take a vacation. I'm not interested. Wallah, I feel uncomfortable. Forget the angel. That it's your enjoying your company, and the TV starts playing that vile profanity. Change it quickly. There's no need to have that. It spreads that negative haram energy in your house. And don't be surprised. We had a topic about this a few weeks back here in this holy center. But I'm not entertaining conspiracy theories. But wallah, watch out. From some of these mega influencer singers and rappers, the subliminal messages they include that are satanic from the very essence is really scary. It's very concerning. And Mr. 13-year-old is addicted to it. And we tell him to listen to the lecture, come listen, come attend the Layali Qadr. He couldn't care less. Why? Because Mr. West is his biggest marja' deen. If he listens to him all day, and he's memorized his lyrics, one mas'ala fiqhiyya doesn't have memorized, you just chose a good marja' deen for you. No wonder the dua doesn't get accepted. Why? Because a house that has these negative adhkar will not have the malaika surrounding it. Last but not least, and I need everyone's undivided attention, one of the best ways to have the proximity of the malaika of Allah that makes the dua answered quicker, that gives you good luck in your life. There's no such thing as hadh, good luck. It's what Allah has deemed. But sometimes that one accident that could have turned into a tragedy was saved because you made one less step, one less move, was an angel holding you back because they were near you. or that thought that inspired you, that gut feeling that kicked in, that is because of the waswasa of a shaitan wasn't active, but the waswasa of the beautiful angel was inspiring you. One last thing to do is ziyarat Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Because in the ziyarah it says, Assalamu alayka wa ala al-malaikati al-muhdiqina bimaqamak. Peace be upon you, Ya Sayyid al-Shuhada, and upon the angels that surround your grave. Malaika love Sayyid al-Shuhada and all the members of Ahl al-Bayt, such that Jibra'il says, can I join the Ahl al-Kisa while they're there, while I'm at it, please. If you recite ziyarat Imam al-Hussein, and for that matter, any ziyarah of the Imams, but particularly the ziyarah, it'll attract even the angel Jibra'il himself. Brothers and sisters, let's take advantage tomorrow. Many might say, look, I might be in a position, particularly of the sisters, or I might not be able to perform some of the salah because of the time of the month that might restrain me. You could do everything else besides the salah. Besides the salah, because the salah has to be done on wudu. And the salah has to be done with wudu, that's it. Everything else, dua Joshan, dua at-tawbah of Imam Zain Abidin, dua Abi Hamza al-Thumali, even dua Raf' al-Masahif, where you take the Quran as narrated by Imam al-Sadiq, by the way. These are not cultural things that you saw in the A'mal of Laylat al-Qadr. These are not cultural. We have a hadith that Imam al-Sadiq says, when it comes to Laylat al-Qadr, take the Quran, raise it over your head. It's as expression of dignity and karama and respect, and say, oh Allah, on behalf of every mu'min you praised inside this holy book, which is on top of my head, and on behalf of the closest to you from your creation, Bika ya Allah, Bika ya Allah, Bika ya Allah, bi Muhammadin, bi Fatima, bi Aliyin, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'in. And inshallah ta'ala, we ask Allah to help us throughout these nights, especially tomorrow. Come tomorrow. Make the effort. It's one day where your destiny will be written. Qadar. Allah will make your destiny written from the next year. Take advantage of this. And may the malaika be your partners right to your left, Jibra'il to your right, and Mika'il beside you as well. Allahumma rabba shahri Ramadan, الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام في عامي هذا وفي كل عام واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك يا رحمن يا علام. Brothers and sisters, let's recite Amma Yujibul Muttar for those who are unwell and requiring du'as, especially these nights, they will be answered. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma Yujibul Muttar idha da'a wa yakshifu su. Amma Yujibul Muttar idha da'a wa yakshifu su. Amma ويكشف السوء أما يجيب ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم اكشف السوء والبلاء عنا يا الله. اللهم المرضى المنظورين شافي وعافهم يا الله. اللهم من كان له حاجة فاقضي حاجته يا الله. وإلى أرواح العلماء والشهداء. Brothers and sisters, please consider supporting and contributing to the charitable Afghanistan campaign fund that we have launched. Any amount will go a very long way in this holy month of generosity. Be generous as well, and Allah will bless you and multiply your ajr, as well as consider sponsoring the nights here for iftar. This will be a sadaqah jariyah. This is our community. This is not one person's house. This is Baytullah. And inshallah ta'ala, any amount will go a long way as well. Do consider, reach out to any of the members here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all in that regard, and may Allah bless your marhumin. وإلى أرواح العلماء والشهداء سيما من أوصانا بالدعاء رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. But before it, the loudest of your salawat.
از بیانات برادر عزیزم جناب آقای سید حسن الشیرا استفاده نمودیم. خداوند بر توفیقات ایشان بیفزاید. سلامتی ایشان و خودتان صلوات بلند خواهد فرمایید. خواهران و برادرانی بسیار عزیز و گرامی حاضر در مجلس و عزیزانی که ما را از فضای مجازی مشاهده می نمایند، برنامه امشب ما به همینجا به پایان می رسد تا فردا از 6:45 دیگر که مصادف است با شب 23 ماه مبارک رمضان و شب قدر و شهادت امیر مؤمنان و مولای متقیان حضرت علی علیه السلام. همه شما عزیزان را به ایزد منان میسپاریم. شب همتان خوش. تا فردا عصر باز هم بر محمد و اهل بیت محمد صلوات بلند خواهد فرمایید.